Welcome to Hardly Initiated, where real men talk real shit. Your host, Tyshawn Jackson, locked in, another episode with my co-host, Ryan Ketchens.
Man, listen, that was one of the best introductions you gave me, man. I like how you said that. You got to run that one back.
Ryan motherfucking Ketchens.
Let's go.
Let's get it popping.
Now we ready. Now we legit.
Yeah, we got to start it off right. We can't half-ass the energy for y'all. We can't half-ass the energy for this wonderful presence that we have that is gracing our set here today in Hardly Initiated Studios. It's something very special every single time when we bring one of the experts at being a goddamn woman, which why is that so hard to find in 2023?
Very difficult.
We have found you guys. Sarah Lena, welcome to Hardly Initiated.
Thank you.
Sarah Lena.
This is a femininity coach, by the way. I think I probably forgot that.
They already knew that when they see the optics.
Yeah,
already know
they
what's
see the
going on.
optics. You feel it over there. You could look through the goddamn TV and see that there's some real feminine shit going on right now on the set right now. Look, help me out. How do you even get into the space, though, of femininity coaching, right? Like, how did that happen for you?
I started off as a teacher. I was teaching the youth, quote unquote, at-risk youth. And I was realizing that the trajectory of these children's lives wasn't going to change, but so much as long as they were continuing going back into the same environments that they were going into. And unfortunately, for many of our youth, that environment is a single mother household where there isn't a masculine presence, there isn't any structure, no order, no discipline. And when that isn't present and the mother feels like she has to step in and be just the disciplinarian, just the provider, she tends to neglect other aspects where she isn't being as nurturing, she isn't being as compassionate, she isn't teaching her children how to communicate. Children aren't getting home training, you know? And so when I realized that's what was happening with my students and with the children that I was working with, I decided I wanted to start working with their mothers, because I feel like if I wanted to help change how they were going to grow, help change their future, I would have to change the people that were raising them. And so once I started working with women, I realized there was a lot of issues there, and a lot of it had to do with just not being able to harmonize with men for the most part. Yeah.
So of all the issues, that was one of the major ones.
That is a major issue, absolutely, when it comes to like just our communities in general, you know, when it comes to family structures, when it comes to what's going on with the youth, what they see, what they learn about how to communicate, what they learn about themselves, what they learn about the opposite sex. So much of that, mostly all of that, starts in the home. Our diets, our spirituality, all that starts in the home. Whatever we think about ourselves, that's what's based off how we were raised. And so when there isn't any type of structure in the home, when one parent is absent and the one parent that is present is still pretty much absent because she's just working all the time, or she just, you know, she has resentment towards being a mother, so she kind of like passes it off to the grandmother or whatever, you know. When that just isn't in the home, it just causes a disruption within the child's personal development, you know, and that's something that I see over and over and over again. And so I really just wanted to do my part in that. And again, oftentimes it is due to not just a woman's upbringing, because that is a huge part of it as well, because a lot of that is passed down from generation to generation, but also when she's affected due to that, she's not able to communicate with the man. She isn't able to get along with the man. She isn't able to harmonize with the man. A lot of women are taught how to protect ourselves from men. We're taught how to not rely on a man. When we get older, we learn how to satisfy a man sexually. Whereas with you all are taught a lot about us when you're young. You know, boys are taught, don't hit girls, be nice to girls, don't go in a girl's purse, you know. Happy wife, happy life. You know, there's all these little sayings that boys and men are always taught things about how to get along with women or how to treat a woman. But on the flip side, women are usually not taught anything about how to treat a man. We're just taught how to make sure we protect ourselves from you, how to not rely on you, you know, and so that affects our family structures. It affects our children, you know, both the boys and the girls. So that's how I started. I know that was a long answer. Sorry.
No. that was necessary.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest with you. That seems like a hell of a role to take on, to jump in women's lives who've adopted these qualities through their upbringing, through their relationships with men, and now you want to put this cape on and go in there and do all this rearranging to their minds and their hearts,
And
which is what you have to do.
These are mothers too. So they 20s, 30s, 40s. So they've been conditioned for some time.
Yeah, well, some of them are mothers, some are not. But yeah, I work with women from ages 20. Well, I work with teenage girls as well to try to help them early.
Wow.
But ages 20 all the way up into the 60s actually, and it's not that easy.
Were you able to have success in like actually going into these homes and like with the mothers in particular? Were you actually able to like really change the minds and hearts of these women to now, move differently with their children and with other men?
I don't change them, but I do give them the tools and the information that they need in order to see the value in making that shift on their own. I inspire these women and I help them to identify what we call femininity blockers, because a lot of times these women come to me. I don't go in with a cape and say, I'm gonna change you, I'm gonna change you. I don't do that anymore. That's how it started. At this point, I put out the information and those that want it come to me, because I don't believe in trying to force anyone to grow or try to force anyone to make adjustments. When you're ready, you'll do it. And the thing is, a lot of women don't like their reality. They don't like being tough. They don't like being hard. They don't like being lonely. They don't like having this hyper independence mentality. They're just prideful and stubborn and hurt and resentful. And a lot of them are fighting to stay in a position that they don't even like themselves, right? And so once they see someone like me that realizes, I'm not trying to harm you. I'm not trying to change you. I'm just offering you a better reality. I'm trying to help you realize what it's like to be softer, to be under the covering of a man that actually cares about you, to be a mother that is actually nurturing, to actually raise your children and not just maintain them,
No, that makes sense. As a matter of, I want to actually ask here, because you brought up something that I don't want to get away from, mainly as it relates to how kids are raised and what they're taught. And I've never actually heard that on the show. Anybody break it down like that women are actually not at all taught how to deal with or treat men or to protect themselves, where men are given, these very small lessons all throughout life with how to go about treating women. And first of all, when did that start? Has it always been like that? Is that like a recent thing within recent generations that's been adopted by any particular generation that may have been traumatized? And why did that happen in the first place?
Well, we could take it all the way back to slavery if you want to, because that's the history. And it really, when men, of course, are torn away from their families, and your value isn't just how much labor you can do and how much children you can create, right? And then after that, you just stripped away. The mothers raise their daughters, the slaves, they raise their daughters to not have to depend on a man, because in their mind, like when you get older, you're not going to have a man around. You're going to have to be able to handle yourself on your own, protect your children on your own. And master is who is going to be your man. That's going to be your provider. That's right. And the opposite would go with their children, with the boys. The boys were kind of emasculated almost, in a sense, make them a little bit softer, because the rougher you were as a man, as slaves, the tougher you were, the stronger you were, the more masculine you were used as an example. They would do these public lynchings. They still do this today, but they always used the more masculine men as examples. And so they would do their best to try to emasculate the sons and raise them up to be a little bit softer. And mothers still subconsciously do this to this day. And so oftentimes boys are, and it's not just what they're taught, but it's what they see. Even still today, if the father isn't home, right? If the father isn't present, he's being taught by a woman, right? He's being raised by a woman. Most public schools, most of the teachers are females.
All women.
Right?
Except for the few coaches, football coaches or basketball coaches.
Right.
Everybody is a woman.
Yeah. And so and even back in the more traditional days, for some of our older brothers, even if the father was in the home, right, oftentimes the working from home was not a privilege. It wasn't an option. So oftentimes it was still the mother that was there most of the time, right? So what we see is all of these different generations that are already affected by slavery mentally, right? But now it's like, it's a woman's presence is there most of the time. So that's why they say a woman's mentality is what raises the nation, which is why I definitely believe that men should be able to instill certain things into the woman instills it into the children. But again, like without that, it's just the woman. It's just her thoughts. It's just her mentality. It's just what she wants the children to know. And oftentimes the children want her son, or mother wants her son to know, treat a woman right, because maybe she wasn't treated right. You know, she wants her son to treat women the way she wish she was treated. And so, but then when it comes to the lessons to the girl, it's no lessons. Well, this is how you talk to a man. This is what it means to respect or to disrespect a man. These are some triggers of a masculine man. You know, these are some things you should not do. You know, we don't get those lessons when we're little girls. It's usually make sure you don't wear shorts around a man. Make sure you walk really fast when you go to the car. Make sure just how to protect ourselves from, and just make sure that you go to school, you get your own money, because you can't rely on a man. And it's a lot of the same things that we were taught. Well, not that our ancestors were taught, several years ago,
So if a woman, now comes to the realization that she needs a little help and she wants to make a change, and pursue, higher levels of femininity, where would you, advise her where to start at?
Herself. So there are 6 femininity blockers, and the number one femininity blocker is going to be unhealed trauma. And that is any type of situation or experience that cause a woman to feel like being feminine or being vulnerable makes you weak or inferior or inadequate, or any situation where she kind of demonized men or devalued men. Right. And the reason why I say that is because when a woman feels like I can't rely on a man, or a man's going to abandon me, he's going to neglect me, he's going to abuse me, he's going to betray me, then she feels like she has to step into that masculine role. Right. And so anything that just kind of pushes her away from being confident within her femininity, those experiences are traumatic, usually for most women. And that is a huge femininity blocker. That is the number one issue that women have nowadays. That's why these tit for tats come up so often. Like they have a hard time being able to just recognize, well, this is something I can do to grow, because they're still holding on to what happened to them. They're still holding on to what abuse they went through, or what abandonment they went through, or neglect, or whatever they witnessed in their home. Sometimes women they're hesitant, or they have this resistance to femininity, not even because of their own experiences, but because of something they saw another woman go through. Right. So, and that's still traumatic. Right. So unhealed trauma is going to be the number one femininity blocker. So I always tell women to start with themselves. The next one is going to be having a very demanding lifestyle. So if you have the type of lifestyle where you just feel like you got to go, do, like you just don't allow yourself to just exist and take care of yourself as a woman, and I get that there are a lot of women out there that they're very proud to be independent, proud to be self-sufficient. And I mean, that's nothing wrong with being capable of doing things for yourself. The thing is, when you develop this mindset, that's where you're hyper independent and you don't allow anyone to do anything for you. And you just feel like, oh, I have to be in control all the time. You're not able to relinquish that control. You just go, do. You never rest.
Well, so I do want to confirm. So are you saying that regardless of what a woman might communicate outwardly, no matter how much she says she loves being independent or she loves these different things, the inner core of her truly wants to be this feminine woman?
Yes. These women, because here's the thing, because they'll tell you themselves how exhausted they are, how stressed they are, how much they are overwhelmed, how they don't feel appreciated, how lonely they are. They'll do both at the same time. Like, oh, I'm proud to be an independent woman. I'm strong Black independent woman. But then on the flip side, like I'm alone. I don't have no help, and people only reach out to me when they want something from me. Nobody ever checks on me just to, what I mean. So it's like they speak themselves about what it's like, what their reality is like. They're not happy. And that is what the whole feminist movement is about. It's just based off of women not being happy, but they still fight for that lifestyle.
So should a woman actually stay away from certain career paths because of that? Because of the level of stress that you can potentially undergo, being that is a femininity blocker? Should she just avoid to stay away from certain, careers or positions altogether?
I don't want to say she should avoid it. The thing is, it's very possible to be a feminine woman and still have a career. You can do that. A lot of these women choose to be masculine at work. A lot of these women feel like they have to be overly aggressive or overly cold and assertive towards people at work. Like I have clients all the time who are like, well, I have to do that because they're not going to respect me or they're not going to listen to me. Like, that's not true. Because feminine influence is very powerful. Quite the contrary, people want to do things for you. They want to make your life more convenient and easier when you are a feminine woman.
That's fact.
And a lot of women, when they get in these positions of authority, they feel like, oh, I got to assert my dominance on people and I got to show them that I'm tough, So they do that to themselves. They don't have to do that. That's just what they have convinced themselves. And it's because they are trying to compete with men in a workforce created for men by men. And it's like, you don't have to do that. If you're going to be there, if you choose to be there, that's your choice, then be smart about it and just operate from your feminine energy, because it's just going to make things easier for you.
That completely just changed my perspective on that, because I was, probably with someone, I'm blaming it on the job. I'm like, hey, it's the job that got you like this. Like, you need to find another career. But even basically saying there's no excuse. So even if they choose to be in that environment, is ways that they can operate to still express their femininity.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, I'm a multi-entrepreneur, right? And the thing about having a 9-to-5, that's one thing, is I've had my 9-to-5s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even then I was still in my feminine energy, but we know that entrepreneurship is much more demanding.
Facts.
You work for yourself. It's a lot to do, right? However, I'm still able to operate from my feminine energy because I'm not out here forcing my dominance on anyone. I'm not being aggressive towards anyone. I'm taking care of myself. And I allow my husband to be the leader. And so if he comes in and he's like, okay, you need to rest, or don't do this, do that, he helps relieve some of the burdens and the stressors, right? By making the tough decisions, by solving the tough problems. And in order for that to happen, in order for me to be able to benefit from that, I have to be able to let go and release the need to be in control. And that is another reason why women that are in these positions are overly masculine. Sometimes it's due to them having a demanding lifestyle, but a lot of times they do that. They choose that demanding lifestyle because they just don't want to let go of the need to be in control. They feel like, if I'm not the one making all the decisions, if everything isn't going the way I want it to go, the way I want it to go, how I want it to go, when I want it to go, then it's going to go wrong. I can't depend on nobody else to handle it, And that's a mindset that a lot of women have developed. And so they just feel like they have to overwhelm themselves and wear all these extra many hats. But they don't really have to do that. They choose that for themselves, and then they're stressed about it.
It seems like you have an advantage because being able to be an entrepreneur, being able to be in your home environment, and also being able to have a husband to rely on and lean on, especially if ain't no money coming in, does provide you a level of comfort there. Whereas, I see it just being extremely difficult. If a woman takes on the career to be an attorney, to work on Wall Street, she wants to strive to be a CFO, where it's going to require her to have 12 to 14 hours around men all day long. I really don't know how in the hell she's supposed to preserve any level of or be access. Her feminine, it's going to be tapped out.
I mean, because a part of it, just from my experience with training, they teach you how to suppress emotion and deal with these things. So, they kind of teach you in this way to be a little hard.
Okay. So I'll say this. When I was working 2 jobs and going to school at the same time, I was still able to operate from my feminine energy. It is a mindset thing. It is really based off of what you choose to, how you choose to present yourself to the world, whether or not you choose to take care of yourself. Now, it isn't to say that we aren't going to operate from masculine energy sometimes, because we all have both masculine and feminine energy in us. However, if a woman chooses to predominantly operate from the masculine energy, that is because she just does not feel confident in her femininity. The thing is, when you're working all of those jobs or the things like that, you have to be passionate about what you're doing. If there's no passion in it at all, then you're going to feel masculine the whole time because you're just doing it based off of survival. There's no desire there at all. It's not something you want for longevity. It's not something that fulfills you. It's not something where you can go and feel like, I'm pouring into others. I'm making other people's lives better. I'm just doing it because I need to pay these bills. Then you're not going to feel feminine when you're doing that. But women choose their career paths. So I guess that would go back to your question. Yeah.
We-
I guess there are certain things that they shouldn't do if they want to be feminine. Yeah.
We actually had a young lady that worked for us, and she was amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, she was one of the best employees I've ever had in our entrepreneurship career, and she decided to leave us, and we just couldn't understand. She was making great money, and she was doing such a good job. We even curbed at some point. We even curbed her the hours that she was working because she said that she wanted some extra time for herself. And when we talked to her about it, that's what it was. It was really like, hey, I love y'all. I like what y'all building, but that she literally said something like that, right? Like it didn't allow her to. It was something she just didn't care about. And she was like, it doesn't feel right. I can't continue to do anything I don't care about. And of course, me not understanding this dynamic, the only thing I could talk to her about was like, hey, but the money is good. And you can do this with this money, and you can do that with this money.
And we going here.
And we going here. We about to do this. But so even now, as you say that, now I was like, I want to call her up right now and just be like, yo, my bad, man. I didn't understand you was trying to get your personal growth on, your femininity.
Well, that's because we don't give a shit. That's the thing. No. And when I say we don't give a shit, I mean straight from a business survival perspective. Like it's like we at war. You are a soldier, and you have a mission, and you telling me, man, I want to lead this mission.
Right. I'm like, I don't like this shit.
I want to go home to my family. We like family.
Do you really need one of those?
we got to kill those men over there.
Right.
We're talking about family right now. So but in a sense, when you do pull out of it, you can actually appreciate that she actually went ahead and made that decision. While on the topic, very interesting about this young lady as well. Damn, I hope she don't watch this episode. But she actually made a very interesting lifestyle decision that we questioned tremendously. Because we was like, she had a relationship with this guy that was just, it was a little it was strange to me because they have been dealing with each other for a long time, decided to finally make the decision to move in. And she said while living together, they made the decision to sleep in separate bedrooms. This was mainly her call because she said she wanted to have her own space. Now, my mind, I'm like, what weak ass nigga is this? What kind of household is this where she just need to be separate from you, but you got to knock, hey, babe, can we fuck?
Right.
Can we fuck tonight, babe? Oh, okay, tomorrow. I'll talk to you tomorrow, babe. It just seems so unnatural to me. And it seemed like she was kind of controlling that environment. And she did have, although Ryan is saying and making it seem like she was trying to sink into this feminine aspect, she was a little hard. Especially, that's why we loved her so much. And why we gave her the position that we gave her in the company.
It was like, yo, get these niggas right.
Get these niggas right. Because she was the hardest nigga in the company. No disrespect to Q, he worked with us. But still, right? What do you think of a woman that wants to live in the home with her man and stay in separate bedrooms?
What do I think of her?
And him. Shit, give me both perspectives.
I think that he does not wear the pants in the home, clearly. Right. In a situation like that, it is usually the woman that's running things. She has the say-so. Because I just can't, it doesn't make sense. Because like you were just saying, most masculine traits fall under the realms of survival and leadership. And so if he's the head of the household and he's a masculine man, it's no way he's just going to say, oh yeah, you can just stay in another room if you want to. If I want to enjoy my woman, if I want to see you, if I want to spend time with you, if I'm saying this is how things are going to be, this is the foundation, this is the structure, this is how things are going to run in this household, that's not going to work if he's a masculine man. So I think that in a situation like that, it's very possible that there might be some role reversal.
I like the way that sounds. Role reversal.
It might be some role reversal, but that's a common thing nowadays. A lot of the same circumstances that have a lot of women overly masculine have a lot of men emasculated, and a lot of times they find themselves together
in a toxic relationship.
Yes.
Is that toxic or is that healthy? Because isn't there like a polarity there still?
And I want to give some context to this because we actually have men that come on the show. I guess they being like politically correct, where they say things like, hey, I absolutely 100% want a feminine woman, but if it's a masculine woman out there, it might work with a man that's more feminine. And I'm like, why would you say that? If it's like they want to have this outlier relationship that might exist out there where a masculine, a woman more so on her masculine energy is going to be okay with a feminine, man in his feminine energy. Is that even, yeah.
Yeah, I see it all the time, but the man is usually depressed and the woman is usually very stressed. She views him like a son or a business partner. It's usually there's a lack of chemistry.
She got some side dick.
There's a lack of
She got
respect.
some side dick going regularly.
Very possible.
Right. If the respect gets
masculine
lack of respect
side
gets
dick.
crazy. Right.
There's definitely a lack of respect. She isn't cherished as a lady. Usually, she's overwhelmed because usually she's the one that's having to make all the tough decisions. She's having to plan everything. She's having to solve all the tough problems. There isn't any stress or burden being relieved from her. So she's the one walking around all manly, and he's just sitting around waiting for her thoughts of what she's going to do and her input. Like before, he can't make a decision on his own. He's not a responsible man. He's usually not a very disciplined man. It's almost like he has a second mom.
Wow.
Do you think that in just a primal world, no media, no television, we in the woods, we in a tent, we cooking on campfires, on a primal world, do these men exist, or is that created through conditioning, or even in the primal world, there's just still some feminine men that's produced?
Oh, I definitely think there are emasculated men that are produced anyway. And the harsh reality is that masculine men, when that masculine presence is there, men that are not as masculine, they're going to kind of fold a little bit,
They die.
Sometimes they can't keep up, what I
Right.
mean? And they don't feel as confident. And again, it comes from personal accomplishment or responsibility or just being disciplined.
Yep.
When men are challenging themselves and they're doing these things, they're going to feel more masculine. So it doesn't make a difference if all this stuff existed or not. If a man isn't doing these things, he's not going to feel masculine. He's going to be emasculated, right? But it doesn't have to stay that way. He can change it if he wants to.
Right.
But a lot of times, again, these men become complacent and they become comfortable with a woman doing everything for them because that's less things that they have to do. That's less work they have to do. They don't have to be dependable. They don't have to learn, and they don't have to, they don't have to invest in their intellect anymore. They don't have to stay in shape. They don't have to do anything. All they have to do is just show up, which is feminine.
Right.
It's very
Exactly.
feminine.
Okay, so you talked about, some women may be a little bit apprehensive about, I guess giving up that control to their partner or the man they might be interested in. And when I think about that, I'm like, damn, I could never be a woman because that's what I want. Like when I even think about when I was 14 years old and I was asking my mom at this point, like, yeah, I want this. Mm-hmm. And I realized she just kept saying, she was not going to stop saying no. And I'm like, I want a job. So I'm even trying to get money so I can make decisions outside of, things that are under my mom's control. So I can imagine that's a very vulnerable situation to kind of relinquish all of that control. How does a woman manage to be comfortable in that? I just could not imagine relinquishing a level of control, potentially of my life, right? Because I'm with this partner. So how can a woman find comfort in doing that?
It's so freeing, when you surrender, you are letting go of all of the extra stress that comes with being in that position. Again, anyone that has ever been in a position of authority, which I have, I haven't been this way all my life, but anyone that's ever been in a position of authority, anyone that has ever been the one that has kind of been given the directives to everyone else, you deal with resistance from people all the time. This is something that men that are husbands, fathers, they deal with this stuff all the time. Men just handle their stressors a lot differently than we do as women, right? So anyone that has been in that position, how overwhelming, how frustrating it can be. Again, a lot of women will stay in this position because of pride or because of fear. A lot of women are afraid to release the need to be in control because they're afraid of what's going to happen once they're not in control. But when you let it go, you're able to see just how much softer your life is, how much freeing it is. You don't have to deal with all of these burdens anymore. Your responsibility then becomes to relieve stress for the man that is relieving that burden from you, right? And not only that is that when you are able to surrender, you put yourself in a position to receive. When you're the one that feels like you have to do everything and I have to be in control, I have to make all the decisions and everything has to go the way I want it, then nobody's really coming to you doing things for you. No one's giving to you. No one's offering anything to you. You're the one doing everything. And you end up being an older woman where everybody's calling on you because they like, you got the answers.
Yep.
They know they can rely on you. You know, I know that she's going to have this or she can do that or she don't need my help. You know, I need her help. Women go through that all the time, like in their 50s, 60s or whatever, and they're just lonely and people only reach out to them when they need or want something from them. But no one's calling to say, I'm just calling to check on you. Are you okay? Do you need anything? That's what happens when you surrender. That's part of just letting go and saying, you know what, it's okay, I need help sometimes. It's okay, I want to rest sometimes. It's okay, I don't want to have to think hard about how I'm going to solve this problem. I want to just show up and just do my role in it, whatever my role is given to me. And it's perfectly okay because that doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you inadequate or inferior. Quite the contrary. If you have a man that's willing to make certain sacrifices, he's willing to sacrifice his rest. He's willing to sacrifice his happiness sometimes,
right?
You know, in order to make sure you're straight. That's actually a form of submission. And so that is a man surrendering it in his own way.
Just looks a lot different.
It looks extremely different. Every way that a man loves his wife is a form of submission. If a man is a protector, right? If he is willing to lay his life on the line for his woman, right? If he's willing to die for his family, that is the ultimate form of submission, right? There is no other way to submit more than for somebody to say, I'll die for you.
Which makes sense because he's putting the family before himself.
Yeah. The same thing with protecting. You're going out here, you're putting all this extra strain and stress on your body. You're sacrificing rest and happiness, sometimes not doing what you want to do, but what you feel like you have to do. Just being disciplined just to make sure your family is straight. That is a form of submission, right? So if men are willing to sacrifice and die for their woman, you know, I'm definitely willing to live for my man, which would mean surrendering and letting go of the need to be in control all the time. Following directives, it's okay. It's not going to hurt me. When she surrenders and she's more submissive, usually if it's to a good man, she will see how she's grown by doing that, how she's become better in general by doing so. Usually when women don't surrender and they want to stay in control, they stay stagnant.
So I'm on the same page, which I love having the feminine women come on the show. It just makes me feel so good on the inside. Let me tell you about a situation I recently had. So I was young lady came over. She want to spend some time with me. New Year's Eve, and she contacts me. I let her know she's been over before. So she goes in the parking garage, and I told her, hey, I got something right in front of me. I'm not gonna be able to come down there and get you right now. So I'm getting ready to give her instructions. She calls me. She says, look, I'm about to come in there, but a situation happened with parking, and man, you really got to come down here because I think I took somebody's parking spot and they not looking happy, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. So I go down there. She meets me at the door, and I'm like, yo, where's the situation? What's going on? She's like, yeah, I think it's okay. I got out the car. I just came straight in. She's kind of flustered a little bit. So we get on the elevator, and we go up one floor, and it stops. And I knew in my mind, I'm like, yo, because you can go around to a different part of the elevator. So I knew in my mind, whoever she probably got into a little situation with is about to get on this elevator, right? So the two women get into the elevator, and one of them is hot. And the first thing she says is, oh, so you the girl who stole my parking spot. Now, I'm going to fast forward the story a little bit. I diffuse the situation. Everybody is laughing. Everybody is good. So it's like, even the chick, she's not asking me, how long you been in the neighborhood type of deal. So everything is straight. She comes over. We have a good night, right? The night is over. And, she was being conservative with her sexual energy because, it's New Year's Eve. So I'm trying to get the cheeks. Right? but for whatever reason, she's being conservative with her sexual energy. I'm like, cool, the night is over now. It's like 1:30, 2 o'clock. So she goes and she grabs something off the table, and I look at her. I'm like, hey, you want to get your stuff together? She's like, yeah. So I say, I'm like, hey, you gonna help me out? I'm like, hey, come help me out with these dishes. Come help me clean up a little bit. Because I had a whole feast. There was stuff laid out everywhere. We fucked up my apartment. Just the two of us, the apartment was fucked up, right? And she's like, yeah, I put away what I used. She literally said that. And I'm like, oh. So I'm like, what does that mean? And so now I'm introduced this conversation. I said, hey, look, the way I look at things, you come over a man's spot, you have a good time. I feel like we did that. This is something that I would appreciate. This what makes me feel good. This what makes me feel like you, courteous and respect the situations going on. So once she tried to go into this deep deal, about the situation, I'm just like, okay, this is over. The whole situation is a wrap to me. So I'm like, hey, look, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Let's get your stuff, get it together. But my question for you is, in that situation, to me, this was like a fair trade. We literally had a situation where I was at risk of, pretty much in a situation where I may have needed to protect you. So my thing is, why is it that I think this is a thing where, some women just don't have appreciation for the protection aspect of things. And it's like they are not even aware that it's happening as long as you with me. Mm-hmm. Like if you go out somewhere with me, first date, 10th date, the situation is if something pops off, I'm gonna have to look out for you. I'm gonna have to protect you. So like, why do you think that a woman might not value that or see that?
Entitlement, definitely. A lot of women just feel like, oh, he's supposed to do that. A lot of women have a list of things that men are supposed to do. Like if I ask any woman, what are some things that a man's supposed to do? They can be like, oh, protect, provide, lead, solve the tough problems. They're gonna be able to say that quickly. Okay, so what are some things that you're supposed to do as a woman? Look good, satisfy him. Like that's what they'll say, right? But here's the thing: when it comes to a situation like that, yes, I get that to you it might seem like a reciprocation thing, but even if that other situation wouldn't have occurred, a woman being clean is just part of being a decent woman. Cleanliness is important for us as feminine women. If a woman, and I don't want to speak ill of your lady.
Oh, don't worry about her. She's discarded. flush her down the toilet. Feminine, listen, it's 2023, baby. Feminine joints only.
Okay, but there are two things, and I'll say this, and I'll let y'all go. A woman's attitude and a woman's home are a reflection of not just what's going on in here, but what's going on down here as well. The funkier the attitude, the messier the home, the messier and the funkier the yoni.
Oh my God.
Women that do not take care of their environment and women that are just not right here, oftentimes here it's a hormonal imbalance. Meaning not only is it going to affect your energy, your mood, your attitude, it's going to affect what's going on down here too. And then as far as your home, if you just don't take pride in having a clean environment, if the things around you, if you don't care, if it's just cluttered or messy and dirty or stinky, then that's just a sign that you are not taking care of your temple. You're not taking care of what's going on here, because what you have around you is a reflection of what's going on inside.
Damn.
That threw you off a little bit. She's like, who said that?
No, listen, honestly,
I like that.
I actually used to say the same thing. Ain't no way you could have, and it was crazy. I remember I was in school, I was in college, and it was this bad one. She was gorgeous. Like it was like the one where like once you get her, your boy's like, you go. Like you, oh my, like it was that. Uh-huh. This girl took me back to that room and it was absolutely disgusting. And I'm talking about so disgusting where like, honestly, she was so bad. I'm not gonna lie. I was trying to overlook it. Like I was trying. I'm like, no, I'm about to step over this.
Clothes on the
I'm about to
floor.
step over this spoiled food over here.
Oh no.
Oh my God.
And then here's the thing, because that's just how much of a savage and primal monster beast that I was trying to be. And then I just couldn't do it. I went on the bed and seen a nasty stain on the mattress. Nasty. And I said, okay, you know what? Dipped off. My boys didn't believe it. They were like, shit, put me in there. Right. My boy like, shit, put me in there. Like, that's literally how they talking. Right. They just don't believe, no, you capping. You just ain't. I'm like, bro, no, I couldn't do it. No. They literally to this day think I'm lying.
Yeah.
But I promise that was a situation, and that's the first thing I thought about. It's no way in hell your place could look like this. And all of a sudden, when you step into the bathtub, all this care just falls into your heart. It just don't even add up. How you are with anything is how you are with everything.
That's
exactly.
a fact.
So it just, it ain't it. But, here's what I'm curious about. Because I feel like going back to the kids, because you really blew my mind. I'm going back to this again, raising them kids and putting them on game. I feel like it's my job to really, I don't feel like my lady could really teach my son how to really deal with and manage and, have a healthy relationship with a woman. I really think that's gonna be my job, to really put my son on some real next level game. Maybe my lady, if she really gamed up, she can give him like 101, maybe 102. But I'm gonna have to give him that master's PhD game with the women, right? And I feel like raising a young lady, which is where all the miseducation is, it's gonna be my lady's job to really give that game, because most guys, they gaming up them daughters on next level game of how to protect them from a guy. Like, hey, look, don't fuck on this time, right? Don't do this,
right.
don't do this,
Absolutely.
right? And I see that a lot. So how is a woman properly gaming up their daughters so they can install the right program in their daughter's mind so they could have a healthy relationship? What does that look like?
A woman being able to raise her daughter. So like what we just talked about, cleanliness, right? When girls are young, they need to know the importance of hygiene, feminine hygiene. They need to know how to take care of themselves as young ladies. They need to know how to keep their rooms clean. They need to know what soaps they should and shouldn't use down there. Like just the basics of being a woman. And then of course it's going to be manners. It's amazing. It's incredible how many adults just don't have manners, and they don't know that they don't have good manners, So that would just be speaking to people when you come in a room, saying thank you, please, apologizing when you're wrong.
Is profane language included in manners, or?
That depends on where you're from.
She like, nah, I be cussing all the time.
No, I don't. That depends on where you're from. But
Gotcha.
I always encourage my clients not to curse.
Yeah.
Because it's just that it's like word vomit. Like when your mouth is very vulgar, it's just a sign that you have a lot going on here. You don't have to do that. You can be a little bit softer. You can be a bit lighter in your approach. And I get it. People are going to curse sometimes,
Right.
but it depends on how often she curses and which word choices she's using.
Facts, because one of that is a big turn off for me. If I don't know you, like you my lady, and you may drop here and there, it's all good. But if I'm getting to know you and I see a woman cusses and nigga, it's so crazy because I say nigga.
Yeah.
When I hear a woman say it, it's just like,
Double standard.
man, I don't know why. It just
No, I'm with you.
I'm just like, ooh,
What you mean, nigga?
yeah, right.
Nigga, don't call me nigga.
Or just say it
Some
in general.
standards are okay, because we shouldn't want to be held to the same standards as man and woman. I'm not a man, you're not a woman.
Okay,
so that's
cool.
Okay, but definitely the hygiene, the manners, and then when it comes to once she gets of age, being able to communicate with these girls about their sexuality, because a lot of times we just avoid those conversations and allow these girls to go out here and just experience things on their own, and just they end up making the wrong choices and just sleeping around and just doing a little bit of everything and just ruining their reputation, So being able to actually speak to these women about the value of your virginity, the value of your womanhood, and even if virginity isn't something that the family cares a lot about, just being able to be a little bit more selective and having some type of standards and not just being out here just sleeping with any guy that just tells you you're pretty. You know what I mean?
So is a truly feminine woman promiscuous?
No.
Not at all.
Absolutely not. As a feminine woman, you prioritize your desires, right? And if your desires are not being prioritized, if it's just, I just want to sleep with him because because he told me I'm attractive or because I'm lonely for the night or whatever, you're not prioritizing your desires because that security is not there. Security is very important for feminine women. Safety is important for feminine women. Being a priority is important for feminine women. And so if a woman isn't getting any of that, but she's just having sex with a man, then that's not feminine. That's just fulfilling the instinct, is that urge in the moment, the same way you do all as men.
Right.
In the moment, it's not because it's an inner desire for security or commitment. It's because you just got that urge. Like, okay, I need to get this off real quick. That's not feminine at all. That's masculine.
So what's your thoughts on men? Because we had a conversation recently about this too. Because, women obviously value, for the most part, monogamy. And it also means sexual monogamy. And men, for the most part, I think even the guys that actually do like monogamy don't really want to be sexually monogamous. What's your thoughts on that? Like, do you think it's a major crime if your man is really holding shit down at home, but he chooses every now and again to not necessarily be sexually monogamous?
It's a problem if the agreement is monogamy. Now, if the couple says, okay, you'll do whatever you do, or we're going to be in a polygamous relationship, or you're going to have your friend on the side, or whatever, as long as that agreement is there. If he's being deceitful, if he's lying about it, if he's hiding things, then that's not, why should a man do that? The man shouldn't be out here lying about stuff like that. If you're going to be that type of man, then be that type of man.
Own it, right.
You know what I
right.
mean? If you're going to have multiple women, then say, okay, yeah, I want you and I want her too. But if you have to lie about it and stuff, then that means that you're not really standing on your square as a man, And so I think that I understand polygamy. I was in a polygamous relationship before I got married,
Wow.
So I understand it and I recognize the value in it. It's not just about sex. I think that's the problem where most people get it wrong. It's not just about sex. However, yeah, it's true. Most men by nature are not monogamous. They just aren't, and most men, even if they absolutely love their wives, they're still going to be looking at other women, If they stop, something is wrong. Look at my husband, and I recognize that he's going to find other women attractive. Now, I don't want to hear about every big butt that he sees and every attractive woman that he comes across, but I know that he sees it, and I know that he looks, and I'm pretty sure he feels some type of way when he sees it,
Right.
And I don't get bothered by that because, A, I'm attractive, A, B, he's a man, he's a heterosexual man. And if your man gets to the point where he all of a sudden doesn't find other women attractive, something is wrong. Something is wrong. But back to your question, as far as men actually going and doing the actual act, I don't think there's anything wrong with that if the agreement is there, if the woman is aware that this is what's happening. But if he's out here being deceitful, I'm definitely not okay with that.
Now you left a polygamous relationship and transitioned to monogamy.
I did.
So obviously it didn't work, right? So like, where is monogamy a better model than polygamy? Because I'm hearing people, throw it out like this is probably the best way because obviously monogamy is not working. The divorce rate, it's failing. But then people offer polygamy, but I don't really see that shit working either. So as somebody who left polygamy to go to monogamy, like, do you see that? Do you see monogamy as the solution to our families?
That's a hard question to answer.
That was a good one.
It
Good
really,
one, Ty.
it really depends on the family and like what the goals are, what the values are, what it is you're trying to accomplish and achieve as a family. Like not all of us want the same things. If you're nation building, if you want to have multiple, several children, a larger family, keeping a lot of wealth in the family and things like that.
All of those sound good.
Then polygamy, okay? Because that's nation building. You have multiple streams of income. You have multiple women teaching the children multiple things, and they have that stronger support system. That's where that comes from. But there has to be sisterhood. It can't be just man just sleeping around. Just that's no different than a man just having a whole bunch of baby mamas.
Facts.
So look, you give me all these benefits. Why didn't the system that you were in, why wasn't it successful?
I was very young when I was in it.
Okay.
And the man, I don't want to put it on him, but none of us had any business being in a polygamous relationship.
So it was just like some fun that y'all were having really for the most part.
I was very naive at the time. And in my idea, I was going in it for the right reasons. I was going in it for nation building. I was like, okay, I'm about to have this strong family structure. And, so I was really excited about it, but none of that was happening. It was just for him just to say, I have two women, There wasn't any, again, I always come back to the masculine structure, the masculine order, that discipline, actually accomplishing goals, getting things done, seeing improvements being made, progression. When that isn't happening, then it's a waste of time.
So he was broke. That's what it sounds like.
I like the way she words things
No,
too.
I promise.
Masculine progression. He was a loser.
Right.
I get it though. I mean, the responsibility of one woman alone is heavy. So I can imagine
You gotta be right.
You better be accomplishing some major shit every day. Like
Every
the most
day.
important task of the day better have got done, my nigga, because you got two of these women watching.
Auditing.
And one woman is already watching and eyeing your ass up and down, and two women. Oh, they like
Double
they
team.
like look
Sisters.
at this nigga. Look at this nigga. Said he was gonna do that shit and still ain't did that shit. And they got another one. To this day. That nigga there. So I get it. I get it. So with the, you know what? And actually that just answered the question. 'Cause with the state that niggas is in, and when I say niggas, I mean men. Okay. And I'm talking about all men, white men, all of them. Okay. Men are not strong enough right now. They have not even proven to manage one woman
We need to focus
successfully.
on one. Correct.
So we not ready for polygamy at all. We're not ready for it.
I don't think men need to even just focus on one woman. I think men need to focus on themselves. I think that's the issue, is that women are focusing on what men need to do, and men are all in women's face, which, I mean, I get it, you know, but that is one of the things that keeps men from being good leaders, that keeps men from being masculine, is you're so focused on the woman. I'm not a masculinity coach, so I'm probably getting a little out
No.
of
The stuff you saying right now, this is all
It's
fact.
accurate.
Yeah.
Men, if you focus on like what we talked about before, the personal accomplishment, your mental well-being, your physical well-being, when you focus on whatever your vision is, men needs to have some type of direction, some type of vision. When he really challenges himself to be more disciplined, doing what you need to do, even when you don't feel like it, being more responsible, then naturally, not only is one woman going to find you attractive, but multiple women are. And then when you're a better leader of yourself, you're equipped with the tools to lead other people. But if you're so busy just trying to just sleep with a bunch of women or just run game or whatever, then no, you nothing's going to work. Your relationships are not going to work.
That's
They're all
a
going to fail.
bar.
So
It
men
is.
need to focus on themselves. And that is one thing about some of these manosphere, red pill
Yeah,
content.
yeah.
A lot of it I don't like. I'm gonna be honest. I'm still a woman.
Shit, me too.
But then still, I get the aspects of it, of men just doing what they need to do for them. That's part of rites of passage. Something that our people have complete. Well, people in general, but definitely our people.
It does not
It was
exist.
something that was part of our culture, rites of passage, and we're not doing that anymore. Not just for the men, but the young ladies as well. Women need to be taught how to be women. Men need to be taught to be men. And once we focus on ourselves, then naturally we're going to be able to balance each other out a little bit better. We're going to be able to have stronger families. But it's not happening. that way.
Unfortunately, it seems like our people are being hardly initiated.
They are. Shameless plug right there.
Unfortunately.
So
Yeah.
So another story. I just like sharing stories.
Go ahead,
so
no, do it.
I'm at I'm at Thanksgiving dinner.
Okay.
My folks, they cooking a little bit later in the afternoon, so I'm gonna go over there, have some good time. But so I stopped by my buddy's crib for the first meal. Stopped by my buddy's crib, and everybody's sitting down to get ready to eat. And I go, get ready to make my plate. And my buddy's sister, he's like, "Oh, no, Ryan, I already put you and Matt plate over there." So I'm like, "Oh, okay." And look, hey, appreciate you. So I go sit down, enjoy the meal. Now, then I go to my house. My mom just got recently married, so she's making, her husband a plate and everything. And my mom says to my sister, I'm just sitting down. My mom says to my sister, "You gonna make your brother a plate?" She says, "He can make his own damn plate." Now I'm like getting fucking the awful treatment of my spot, right? So, my sister, she's like 26. So in my mind, right, so many things went off in my mind when my sister said that. So I'm like, yo, my sister needs some fucking help. That's what I really thought, right? So I want to ask you, what age should the lesson start for being able to educate a woman on how to treat a man?
When she's old enough to understand the difference between men and women. I don't think there's a reason to wait, because if a girl is old enough to clean up behind herself, and she's old enough to understand that, okay, this is a man and he is going to be looking out for me, especially like if she can say, "This is my big brother." She could be 7 years old, like, "This is my big brother and he gonna get you. This is my little brother and he's gonna protect me. He gonna look out for me." Then you're like, "Yeah, I'm your sister and I'm gonna make sure that you're straight, brother. I'm gonna fix your plate for you. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, you might be messy. I don't mind picking up your shoes from right here and just putting them back is okay, because y'all gonna be a little messy sometimes and out of order. It's okay. I'm not saying that's the case for all of you.
I get it.
Realistically, wives pick up after their husbands often.
Yeah,
you know,
that's pretty dope though. So you saying like in the even in the or a sibling relationship, you
Yeah.
can teach these things.
Absolutely. And I think
Wow.
that's where it starts. You know, it starts when they're young. And even like in schools and stuff. Well, now things are different because like people are the whole gender thing. But when I was teaching, being able to allow the boys to know these are some things that you could take pride in as a boy that just come natural to you, things that you want to do anyway. Boys like to show that they can be good helpers. You know, boys like to know, look how strong I am. Look how much I can lift. You know, look how tough I can be.
They do.
And girls, and girls like, oh, look what I made. You know, isn't this pretty? Or look, they just like to have the prettiest things, the neatest things, the cutest things. You know, so these are just things that just come natural to us as men and women before someone else tells us we're whatever gender. You know, and so when we get into a situation where you have older brothers and sisters, if that isn't something that was instilled in the household, if that's not something they were taught at young age, then when they get older, they're going to be like, no, he can do it himself, or no, she don't need my help. She can go, but you're probably not going to do that if your sister needs you. You're probably going to be there.
Of course,
absolutely.
Of course.
So again, that goes back to the entitlement thing. Boys are taught what to do. Girls are not. Girls are just taught to just be, and you're going to be treated like a queen regardless. And you have some men that will still do that, but it's becoming fewer and fewer of those men that exist nowadays.
Yo, let me tell
like,
you.
no, you got to earn this.
A funny story as well. Fucking story time in here, but I remember my rest in peace, man. My pops, my stepdad, who met my mom probably when I was like 5 years old. He actually told a story that was, as I got older, I understood how toxic this was. But when he was first dating my mom, like they were like literally courting each other, like she just brought him around the family, like for one of the first times. It's a barbecue going on. This is New York. My mom, little context. My mom's side is Panamanian. My grandma, her mom, ended up pretty much raising him as a single parent because my grandfather is like this nigga probably got a do-rag on hollering at some chicks right now. Like at least, I mean, he's produced at least maybe 16, 20 kids. I don't know. Our relationship is not that good. Like he's just a man. I'm talking about he is something else. And my great-grandma also ended up splitting up with her guy. So we got some generations of unsuccessful relationships happening here. Now, all three generations of women are at this event. Right? So it's my grandma there, my great-grandma, and my mom. And she just brought my stepdad here to this event.
So to confirm, the 2 generations before your mom, manless.
Yes.
Okay, got you.
Manless. And what happens is they sitting down, the food gets ready, everybody gets starting to get up to go get the plates, right? My mom is like, hey, baby, what you want? And he's like, oh, and he says something like, oh, it don't matter, just, give me whatever, right? She gets up to go get the plate. My great-grandma, she like exclaims loud, you don't make that man no plate. And listen, my great-grandma and grandma was known for being almost like the masculine figures of the family. Like they were like the leaders. They were the people that'd be like, damn, I can't believe you said, like they were the always ones to be like, I can't believe she said that shit. Like loud, don't give a fuck. They're gonna embarrass you. You're gonna be like, I can't believe she just fucking did that. It was always them. And she said that loud. It was almost like a moment where it was like, and then he just kind of looked around. My mom just kind of froze. And it was like a moment and everything kind of stopped for a minute. And she went and she still did it.
Good.
And it kind of pissed. And now shit getting disheveled. Like all the women are, now she's upset and shit because in her mind, I guess what she feels like she was protecting my mom in a way from something. She felt like she was protecting her from something. So she just telling her not to make this man's plate out loud, stopping her dead in her tracks. And when I thought about that, it hit me later on in life on a random reflection. I'm like, damn, that's some generationally toxic shit. And eventually, some woman has to take the baton and say, I'm going to change all of this shit. And I'm going to absolutely change what I teach my daughter.
Yes.
I'm gonna absolutely change what I teach my son. Yeah. I'm gonna absolutely change the culture and the traditions we have and pass it down. Yeah. So I really greatly appreciate, let me tell you, Sarah, the work that you're doing.
Need it.
Oh my goodness. We need that shit.
To this day.
Because the shit, like I'm telling you, we got so many families like mine in the same situation. That's probably just not saying nothing.
Bunch of single women at the family reunions and the barbecues and the holidays.
And they wallowing. They wallowing in that shit.
Families.
Giving each other bad advice and just fanning the flames and throwing gas on each other's fire.
Yeah, and that is one of the things, again, where women like to bash femininity or submission or anything like that, is like actually feminine women are like your mom. They're actually some of the more rebellious women today, because you have to be a rebel to go against what society is telling you should do, which is be matriarchal, which is be the tough one, which is be masculine woman, which is to not need a man. You have to kind of go against the grain and think for yourself and say, well, no, this is actually what feels better. This is actually what I want. This is what's going to create a stronger family structure for me, you know? So your mom's a rebel for doing that. You know what I mean? I think that's beautiful. The women that pass the baton, they are. The women that are just going along with it, they're actually the easier influence, weak-minded women, and they don't realize it. They think they're tough and strong, but you're really just doing what society is telling you to do, even though you're not happy with it.
I never thought about it from that. Yeah. She's damn killing this shit.
Sarah, let me tell you, you went ahead, you came on here, you came, you saw, and you conquered.
We need more though, because it's hella femininity blockers we ain't discussed.
It's so much more.
God, I mean,
it's so much more. So I'm manifesting a part 2 to this here. Okay. I see it happening, y'all. She was so nervous at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
And she just came over here and just rocked it. Came over here and rocked it. But listen, Sarah, tell our people how they can get in contact with you, when, how, because they need you.
Okay. You can visit my website at, where am I looking?
Oh, right
there.
That's
your camera right there.
You can visit my website at saralinacoaching.com. I have a YouTube channel, Saralina or the Modern Goddess channel, for ladies that need tips on femininity. And then I'm on Facebook as Saralina, as well as Instagram as Saralina89. But mainly my website, saralinacoaching.com.
And after you sign up and graduate, we need you to send us your certificate of completion and a profile photo. And Tyshawn and I will decide what to do next.
Absolutely. Yes. Listen, you need at least a 3.5 or above.
Right.
Okay? None of that mediocre shit.
Facts.
But listen, thank you so much for gracing the stage here, Harley Initiated Sarah. And thank you for tuning into another episode of Harley Initiated. We are out.